Hey listeners, I've got Kathryn Landis with us this week, and she is an amazing thought leader, an ally, a friend, most importantly, an IU alumni.
Go
And
Hoosiers!
yes, and executive and team coach, keynote speaker, NYU professor. She is regularly featured in high-profile publications, which is how we met through a mastermind peer group. And she's been featured in Harvard Business Review, Fast Company, what, over a dozen times now, Kathryn?
Something like that.
Who's counting? But a lot of times. And Catherine's specialty is really around C-suite engagement. She works with a lot of C-suite leaders and knows what's the burning issues keeping senior leaders up at night. So we're going to dig into that and how to get the senior leaders in C-suite engaged and much more. Kathryn, welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here. So thank you.
Well, for listeners that can see us, we are sporting our IU gear. We can still celebrate, right?
Yeah, well, mine is actually the national championship sweatshirt. So I don't know if I can show the back if this
Oh
is
yeah. Yeah, yeah,
appropriate.
yeah.
But, yes, I had so many people congratulating me on Indiana University's win. So if you don't follow college football, Indiana went from like the losingest team ever to in 2 years winning the national football championship. And people were congratulating me personally as if I had done something. I am a bandwagon fan. I did not really start watching until the coach Casanelli came on board, but it's such a great story and model for leadership and how to turn teams around. So there's definitely an article there that I love to write about him from my perspective because I am a fangirl. So
Oh.
enough about IU. No one else cares but Hoosier Nation, but there's a lot of us.
Well, it's funny. I get congratulations still. And it's like, I didn't do anything. I did move to Bloomington and I do now work at IU, but I don't think I can take credit for it either. And I agree with you. There is Kurt Cignetti's leadership and our quarterback, Fernando, his Heisman speech. We could go on, but we will focus back to the matter at hand. Kathryn, you work a lot with C-suite executive types, folks that have really big important titles. And I'm just curious, like, it's early 2026. The world feels like a lot. I know you use the word cognitive overload, like understatement, right? Burnout beyond burnout. What are the things, like, if you had to prioritize the things that are really keeping senior leaders up at night nowadays?
I think one of the top things is this idea that I call capacity erosion, where not just you as an individual, because yes, senior leaders, they're in the C-suite, but everyone's human, right? We put our pants on one leg at a time, and they also are feeling all the things that are coming at them, shifting AI adoption, constant restructuring, expanded spans of control, navigating layoffs. At some point as a senior leader, and if you are one, you know this, whatever decision you make, you're going to make a lot of people unhappy, right? So as your responsibility is to define reality and give hope in the best way that you can, and know that there's always going to be trade-offs. And I think that toll weighs on people. I think there's a lot also going on in our political environment, no matter what side that you're on, that's weighing on people. The country is more divisive than ever, and a lot of that is taking a toll on folks. And then they're also seeing that in their teams and asking themselves, well, why isn't my team stepping up in the same way that they were? Why do they seem less motivated? Well, all these things that are impacting you as an individual are also impacting your team.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. You called it capacity overload. Was that right? Or did
I say capacity erosion.
I
So
erosion? Yes.
it's like chip, 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 chipping away. It's
Mhm.
not necessarily one thing, but over time, it's that cumulative effect of, you know, years of all these changes and, big significant efforts by, organizations to stay competitive, which are great, but also, maybe not bringing the organization along in the way that they could.
Yeah. 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 I mean, the word unprecedented has been used in an unprecedented amount of times. And senior leaders, it's just like all these issues bubble up, right? And so what I've seen, and I know your clients can attest to this too, is that these issues, like as people become your capacity becomes eroded to your point, and that cognitive like overwhelm, overload, like we tend to manage up or share up those issues. And so leaders are absorbing a lot more capacity, maybe than they're even used to. And back-to-back meetings, full email boxes, so many things vying for your attention. I'm curious, Kathryn, like, what are some of the conversations you're having, or some of the tools or strategies that people are using to manage through this capacity erosion?
So I think it's a few things. I think it's getting really clear on what's the work that only you can do. Because when things get stressful, when things start to spiral, it's very easy to lean towards what's going to make me feel productive. And feeling productive might be, helping someone put together that presentation, responding to your email box. But what you actually could could be focusing on that's going to move the needle the most is perhaps um, working with your cross-functional colleagues, the other members of the C-suite, to strengthen those ties, thinking about how do we align incentives? How do I better manage up to my CEO? Those are the things that only you can do, and then get very clear on what are the things that can be, delegated down to your team. Now, I will say, I just wrote an article for a Harvard Business Review. Hopefully, it'll come out next week. It's about this trend among senior leaders who are saying, "Wow, my team are making decisions that I want to be involved in." Because
Mm.
because there's so much more strain on the system, they want to get more control, right? And it's not necessarily because they want to micromanage, just there's so much more pressure. And they can see on a macro level how one person's decision or department decision is impacting another department in terms of increasing the organizational risk.
Oh, that's
So you have to be very,
fascinating.
very clear about what has shifted and why and where you want to be
Hmm.
inserted, or where you want approval, but then
Yeah,
also realizing the trade-offs of your own time and the things that only you can do. One of my clients calls it the $100 activities versus the $1 activities. She's like, I got $1 bills everywhere, Kathryn. I'm like, I got it. Okay. So let's give the $1 bills to the team, right? Let's to help them identify what are the milestones they need to check back in with, so you can focus on the $100 activities. We want big money, people.
that's awesome. I love that. No, I love that metaphor because in the moment, it's like shenanigans, right? I know I had that talk about capacity erosion. I know that I should be doing this, but oh, it's just so tempting to like get my little fill on my inbox or the dollar activities. So it's a good pause and reset to say, okay, is this hundreds or dollars I'm playing with? And what do
Yeah.
I really need to do? Like, that is such an important strategic question that's obvious, but not one that I think many leaders like truly ruminate on.
Well, I don't think you have time to ruminate. So I'll tell you a secret. I don't tell this to many people, but when I was going through executive coaching training at Columbia University, the academic director said, if someone would go and speak to a lamppost for an hour every day at the same time, they'd get 60% of the benefit of coaching. So I know I'm better than a lamppost, but for people out there that are like, hey, I don't have time to, or, I don't have the funds for coach, just creating the space and time to be intentional about where you're spending your time, reflecting on what you're doing, um, even creating calendar blocks. I'm talking about the basics. One of my clients was revolutionary when she decided, you know what, if a meeting has my director in it, I'm not going. So she told her that to her EA. And so, can you clear space in your calendar so you can think, so you can show up
Mhm.
the leader that you need to be?
Yeah, I love that. I think for a lot of leaders, what got you there, is kind of not going to keep you there or keep you sane there. Um, this tasky mindset, I know for me, achiever always comes up on any personality assessment I take. I love tasky, get things done. It just feeds my soul. And so the idea of blocking my calendar for 30 minutes to like sit on my meditation pillow that's firmly stationed behind me that I never use with my journal that I look at every day, like tomorrow I will talk to you, but today I'm going to get the shopping list done. I'm going to get ahead on my emails. I'm going to make sure my class is ready. It's just this this churning that goes on with us. And I'm wondering, Kathryn, like, how can we slow down and have more lamppost moments or hire a coach to get that 40 full 100% value?
So part of it is having the discipline to create that space and time. And I don't know what that is for everyone. For me, I have my own journal that I try to write in every day. When I say I try, I probably write it 4 days a week. But I have my own coach and I have a therapist. So I have a team around me so I could show up as my best self.
Yeah.
And if you're finding that you can't find the space and time, then maybe you should hire someone to help you. And they can help accelerate the process by reflecting back to you some of the patterns and stories you're telling yourself, right? Help expand your perspective, but more importantly, maybe see things that maybe you can't see.
Yeah.
As a leader, I just want to go back to your team. The thing that's going to expand the capacity the most is having a strong team behind you. So one of my clients, stood up she calls it her office, about 15 people, about a year and a half ago, but she kept saying to me they still had their training wheels on. She still wanted to be involved in everything. And at one point, I was like, well, what's it going to take for you to let them move forward? Because after a year and a half, if they don't know their jobs, there's something missing, right? There's something going on. And I asked her what would shift for you and what would shift for the team if for the next quarter, right? Not forever, 3, 4 months, you focused on really developing your team versus some of these external initiatives and got them up to speed so you know that they're firing at all cylinders so that you can focus on the things that only you could do.
Mm.
One thing I'm going to share with the audience is I have an assessment that I put together that can help you pinpoint where can you focus. So I think that there are, and a bunch of research from Harvard University indicates that there's 6 conditions of a highly effective team. You don't have to tackle all 6 conditions at once. Start with the one where you have the lowest score and then focus on that area, right?
Right.
So take some of those 10 minutes that you're going to set aside for yourself, do some reflection, and try to identify where you can help your team the most so you could be the better leader.
Real quickly, listeners definitely take Kathryn up on that offer for the assessment. Like, what are the 6 behaviors, Kathryn, if you don't mind?
Yeah. Do people have a clear purpose, right? Do people know why they're a team? Most people know why they have what their job description is. They know what the enterprise goals are. But I was leading an offsite last week. They didn't know what their team goals were. They don't know what success looks like. And it's really hard to get motivated and empowered to work together if you don't know what success looks like. As a leader, do you have a real team, meaning their jobs are interdependent, or is it just a collection of individuals, right? You need people that are going to be working together and that their success is dependent upon each other. Do they have the right mix of skills and perspectives? And can they collaborate? Are the decision rights and accountability clear? That's a big one. So most times, and I've been in corporate America, I was going meeting to meeting to meeting, but not really clear on who could actually make the decision. Or I had teams meeting with me and I wasn't actually clear. Well, what do they need? Right? And by when? And what's the opportunity cost?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so if you're trying to get something done, be able to explain those 3 things. Another condition is, does the team have the right resources and information that they need? And I'm going to go back to a football analogy, even though I don't, know much about football other than go IU. Can you block and tackle for your team, right? Do they have the right people? Do they have the right data? And that's where I found as I talk to more and more teams, they're getting stuck because they feel like they don't have the right resources and information to be effective in their jobs.
Yep.
So if that's the case, as a leader, alarm bells should be going off to say, what do I need to do to get my team what they need and or what needs to shift so that we're focusing on the highest priorities? Because you're never going to get everything that you need. But then how can you make sure that you're prioritizing and focusing on the things that must get done? And then finally, does the team have the opportunity to regularly step back, reflect, and adjust on their ways of working? And that's where a team coach, now plug for myself, but can be helpful because it's a third party coming in to say, how are you working together? What are those working norms? And it doesn't necessarily have to be an external person. It could be someone in the team that can take on this role, but it's harder when you're on the team to have that confidence to be able to name things. I was in a team offsite last week, as I mentioned, and I had talked to each team member prior to the offsite, and in the room, everyone's saying that they have high trust. That they called it the cone of silence amongst the team.
Mm.
But there were things the team members told me, and then when I reflected back some of the key themes, no one wanted to say that's what I said. So I know there's things that are not being said. And that's indicative of, the team's ability to work together and to trust. So I'll
Yeah.
put that assessment out there, but I think these short diagnostics can really help leaders spot where the friction is coming from and what they can do to focus instead of just pushing harder everywhere.
Yeah. 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 And that psychological safety to even be honest in that assessment. It's one thing to do it anonymously and another thing to share publicly with the team. So I love that comparison of not just what you think as a leader, but also getting feedback from your team on what do they think and what are some friction points. And like you said,
Yes.
tackling one thing at a time.
What's
Um,
funny, Julie, is that I found so many leaders who do not like the word psychological safety. So, I would just encourage people who want to speak to senior leaders about psychological safety to use a different term. We're talking about the same thing, right? We're still saying, eat your vegetables, but like maybe we're calling it something else, right? Um, because for whatever reason, it's become a little bit of a hot button. Um,
Mhm. Yeah, I think there's so many misunderstandings about it. Like either people are like, "Oh, kumbaya, everyone gets along," or like, "Oh my gosh, we're psychologically safe," and everybody's like warfare. And the reality, like anything, is a paradox. It's somewhere in between. But the word has gotten thrown around. I'm very familiar with words being thrown around that are polarizing. So
yes, yes. So, in the effort of, trying to get things done, right? Um, maybe not use that word because
okay,
it's probably not going to be helpful.
no. Always great wisdom, Kathryn. I learn something every time I talk to you, Kathryn. And Kathryn is an amazing ally. So just plug for her, follow her Harvard Business Review articles and Fast Company articles. Take advantage of this assessment she's offering up. Kathryn, tell us where to get the assessment and to follow you.
Yep. So in the show notes, I'll give you a hyperlink that you can download. You can also go to my website, kathrynlandisconsulting.com. I know my name has a K and a Y. It's always been a sticking point with people because my name is spelled differently, but also connect with me on LinkedIn. I'd love to hear from you, and I look forward to staying in touch.
Yes, Kathryn, which I had never met a Catherine spelled that way until I had a Catherine on my team that was spelled that way, and then two Catherines spelled that way in our mastermind group. So it is uncommon, but apparently common as well.
Yes, well, I like to think I'm still special, but
You are. You are. Thank you so much, Catherine. It's been a delight.
thanks, Julie.